Steve, I just want to probably touch a nerve of yours, but is there a danger that rugby league is just simply going to become the feeding code?
No, none whatsoever. Like I mentioned earlier, that these guys don't go through rugby league and grow up through their amateur ranks and then get signed on with their club. They want to play for their country, just like in any other sport, and they work hard at it. And having said that they want to reach the pinnacle of rugby league because it's born and bred in them. It's the same with any sport. To play for your country is the greatest thing that can happen to you. Forget about the medals. Representing your country, you look at your badge, irrespective, and you say to yourself, and that's why it rather fascinated me over the years that when rugby union, when they became professional, started paying tax, they then decided to go for the older end. And let's face it, Barnsley, they took all the old players. Andy Farrell had about 3 operations on his knee, was wobbling around in rugby league, well into his 30s, and yet he wanted to be signed, and they signed him to rugby. Now, I'm with Barnsley on this. You've got a very short career in both games. So make as much money as you can. I understand that and to get through to it. But I also get the feeling that whenever a rugby league player, be it young or old, comes from rugby league into rugby union, it's as though it's laid down in their contract, you'll get a cap for England.
Well, hang on, Steve, there's a point here. I mean, we can look at this. If you take the long-term view, Steve-O's been throwing years like 1895 in. So let's take the historical perspective. League has been professional a long time, and I don't pretend that League has engendered some very, very skillful and superior habits. Rugby union has only been professional for 15 years. So what has happened? From Australia in particular, who have been the best team in World Cups in union since the game has been professional, they've said, right, who can we go and get? And it's not just players, it's been coaches like John Muggleton, they've done a great job. But we've only been 15 years a professional sport, so we're saying League has all this wealth of experience, and I don't think anyone disputes it. But I do think now that 15 years in, we're at a stage where Union is saying, OK, Rugby League had its World Cup 30 years before. They were visionary, they were ahead. I have no problem with anything he says there. But we now have a World Cup that is global, you know, and it's a much bigger tournament than Rugby League, and it is going to look, it is a much bigger tournament.
Barnes, you are admitting that the modern game of rugby union now, in fact, the game of rugby union now, has only just realised its potential for 15 years. So, in other words, you've just absolutely thrown all your history away. I can't believe it. I keep telling you every Thursday, Rugby League, the greatest game of all.
It may well be, but rugby union is very good as well. I just want to put a point to you, Steve-O. Do you squirm in your seat when you see a league player succeeding on the international stage in union?
None whatsoever. None whatsoever. As I've mentioned before, make what you can out of it, because it's a very tough sport, both of them. It's very, very hard. You could be injured tomorrow. And that's why I think, and I think that he will go. I think Kyle Eastman will not sign an extension to St Helens. I really think that he'll go to Bath. And Bath, if they do pay, right, it'll be a big risk.
Speaking of pay, Harpay has succeeded.
Well, hang on.
Why do some...
Hold on, he's in the England team. There's a question, there's a big debate. Has Shantae Harpay succeeded? Steve-O, who I hate to say is right on this one. Shantae Harpay, I don't think, would have been playing for England now had he come through the ranks of club rugby, had he not come from Bradford Bulls. They've seen something there, and you're absolutely right in what you say. There's this vision, let's get hold of him, let's take the best out of it. What Shantae Harpay does, he hits that gain line, he gets over it, and again, I mean, Dowie drives me mad sometimes because he says this annoying thing. He says it's a great rugby league trait, and I said, stop saying that, Dowie. But he's got that little offload, and that's what Martin Johnson sees. But he's not necessarily a success yet, because Wales will look at Shantae Harpay and say, one-on-one, we left the man for dead in an international. He's actually not good enough. He's there for another reason. So
it's not bad coming from a bloke that said that our game was one-dimensional. He's now praising the guy because he can do this.
I like the dimension. I didn't say it was bad because it was one-dimensional.
And listen, going back to one thing that always tickles me is the fact that when Jason Robinson, oh, let's face it, he's been the greatest, the one to cross over. Jason Robinson, absolutely superb. He's a winger. See how he came in looking for the ball? Because he was like that. Ashton's doing exactly the same thing. But he's made it at both codes. Absolutely sensational. And the wonderful thing that I always will remember, this lovely man at the side of me, once said live on Sky, if Jason Robinson makes it in rugby union, I will eat my hat.
Incorrect.
Is that true?
No, it's not. I said if Jason Robinson is capped this year for England, I will eat my hat.
Technicality.
He was capped that year for England. He wasn't ready for England, but Clive Woodward saw the brilliance. Woodward was right, and I was wrong. But what Steve-O says...
Another one-dimensional player
is not true. And I would definitely eat Steve-O's flat cap, and maybe at Goodwood, Steve-O.
Listen, I remember saying to you, I will have one made, because I said, do you like licorice? And you said, I love licorice.
Love it.
I said, I will have you made from Pontefract, where it's a home of licorice, a proper hat. And you know something? They wouldn't let us do it. What do you remember?
Well, it was Wigan, in fact, wouldn't let me come up there and do it. We'd agreed.
Yeah.
I was very happy to go to Wigan, see a one-dimensional game in the league and wear my Pontefract hat, but no, we were up for it.
Speaking of sweets, there is, I suspect, amongst all this bravado between the two codes, there is actually a lot of mutual respect between the two of you. But also, as far as the coaching is concerned, you've seen Sean Edwards come through, do well. Are the union guys now benefiting from some of the things that can be brought from league?
Of course they are. I mean, I can't pretend that league hasn't been more professional for a long time, and therefore it has a professionalism in its individuals, and that is the case. But as it goes on, union will find its own level of professionalism, and league will get something back. That's just how the nature of things goes. Andy Farrell, I don't think he was a success as a player, but as a coach, he's doing really well now. But you know, what he's doing now, he's in a great position because he had 4 or 5 years of union, not great union, but he had it, and he understood some of the problems that youngsters coming into it wouldn't. He also knew about league, so he's aware of this tracking thing. You get a hybrid, and some of these guys become very good as a result of it, I think.
And we're going to see more of that, do you think?
You need vision. Look, in any sport, you need vision. And it's amazing now that a lot of youngsters, and let's face it, this Chris Ashton, you know, is not only on the back page of the dailies, it's on the front page. And a lot of youngsters out there will be thinking to themselves, boy, it must be great to be a star. Let's face it, stardom, that will give me a lot of money, set me up for life. So you can't blame these people doing it, but there's also things that you've got to look at in life. And a lot of the players who have crossed over, who have now come back to rugby league from rugby union and realise they made a mistake. It can happen, and it will continue to do. And if he does sign for Bath, which I think he will, Claire Leesman, I honestly do, is contracted up until the end of November of this year. And I really feel for the youngster because he's going to put himself under so much pressure.
Yeah, pressure.
We will wait and see. I promised a Code Red debate, and you delivered. Gentlemen, thank you very much for coming in.
It's our pleasure.
Nice one. Thank you.